Hi guys, so I'm joining you from beautiful Albania, where I will be hopefully very soon joining Martina with me. Today we are streaming on a subject of how to be successful in partners, relationships, and about sex. It's a subject that we chose to talk about for the second time. Last week we've been talking in my native language, which is Slovak language, and because so many of you send me a lot of messages saying can you please do this in English, we are fulfilling on your wishes, and we are today streaming in English. It will be probably slightly different streaming in terms of, you know, like I always like to make it very interactive and make sure that you guys get the most amount of value. I would like to encourage you all to participate, to send us messages, send us questions, to share about how it is for you. I appreciate it is kind of open subject where some of you might hesitate to comment to details. Some of you will be more eager. Some of you send me a lot of messages. I mean, we had about over 15,000 viewings last week when I was doing this in Slovak language, so we are very pleased. Thank you so much for your comments and thank yous and questions, and you know, I really appreciate also your courage. Those of you, I work with women, and those of you ladies who had the courage to kind of reach out to me and ask questions and to see how I can support you, I'm very pleased to do that. So if you don't feel comfortable to do this online in front of everyone, I'm very happy to answer your questions or whichever way I can support you. Now, Martinka, if you are, like, I know you are here, I keep on trying to connect you, but unfortunately you don't have a little green dot there, which is indicating that that I can't actually connect you right now. I will try a little bit later. So let's just start. I'm so gutted because these streamings we are doing with Martina together, and today, because she's back in the UK, I was really hoping that we can do it together. Mati, I will try, but I know you are with me. And for those of you who are finding a time to join us this Wednesday lunchtime, I really want to appreciate it, because you could really choose to do anything else and you choose to be here with us. So let's start. Let me just introduce the theme. So today we are talking about relationships, successful relationships, and about sex, but not only about sex, the way we perceive sex as whatever we perceive it with, but about, you know, how to, you know, feeling and living orgasmic life, if you like. So my name is Lucia Hoxa. I am yoga teacher, and I'm also lifestyle coach. I work predominantly with women and supporting them in areas of their life they feel that are the most important to them, and I do it with a lot of passion and a lot of love. That fulfills my heart. It's not always easy. Even my job has its challenges. For those of you who are thinking, oh, she's always so amazing, it's, you know, it's sometimes I'm holding on for dear life, because you know, I'm same as you guys, but I must say, at the end of the day, I absolutely love what I do. So that's a little bit about me. I tell you a little bit about my relationships and why I'm streaming about this. It is something that I'm very passionate about. Deep in my heart, I really believe that not only that we all deserve fulfilling relationships and the you know, sex life that are making us feel alive, and more than just the good sex. And we will talk about a little bit later about what it means to be in a, you know, in really good sexual relationship with our partner, or, you know, even if we don't have a partner, but having, you know, having that kind of vibration in our life. What does that mean to have a good sex, you know? Yeah, and how to keep it alive in our relationships, where we spend already some time, some years with our partner. So this is all coming and is ahead of us. And before we start, guys, and thank you very much, hello for those of you who are already kind of saying hello, I want to ask you guys, how many of you watching at the moment, being live with us, how many of you are currently in relationship, and how many years? So if you would like to send a little message saying yes, I am in relationship, and and maybe send a number, how many years. So in the meantime, I'm going to, hi Tony, hi Maria, hello everyone. So I would like to maybe share from myself before I hear from you. I have been in my second marriage, which is my current relationship with Billy, for just over 5 years. We are happily married, and it is a man who came to me, I always say, as a little miracle. It was the time where I didn't look for a partner, and I wanted to focus on something else, but he was actually so amazing that I couldn't resist. And ever since the day we met, we didn't spend a day apart. I think it was maybe 1 week when he was traveling somewhere, and maybe 5 days when I was traveling, when I was in San Francisco. But ever since, we've been together every day, and I'm not getting bored with this man. I'm deeply grateful for him, and not only being my partner in crime, but also being the man who I adore, who I deeply respect for his wisdom, who I feel I can rely on. Like I said to him the other day, Billy, if there is a third world war, God forbid, I know you are the person who who I can totally trust. Like, you will definitely look after me. And I think for us as a women, this is something that is very important, have that faith and trust in our man, that no matter what happens, no matter how scary life gets, we can totally lean on him. It is also really important, I think, to have a laugh with our partner. That was one of the advice when I was getting married, that old man gave to me. I always like to ask old people for their advice, and he was saying, always, like, one thing, communication and effective communication, like really getting into other person's world and listening to them, and also don't ever stop laughing. Don't take things too seriously. Life, it is challenging, but it is very important to find the laughter, maybe sometimes even about the things that normally people wouldn't laugh about. I think that's something that Billy always does, and he's got a great imagination as well. So what I love about my husband as well is his confidence, like something that attracts me very much, that even till this day, when I look at him, and sometimes I kind of like forget, and I look at the people, and there is a lot of people around, and my eyes kind of stick with him, and I say, oh, that's quite a handsome man, and I suddenly realize, oh, that's my man, And I like to pause here. So just to read your comments, Martina is saying, I know my hubby for 20 years and married for 16 years. And I know, Martina, you've got a very happy relationship, and you've got a couple of children who are adorable, absolutely adorable. So, thank you very much for sharing. So guys, for those of you who are joining us, the first question, I want to make this interactive, so let's get the juices flowing. The question was, are you in a partnership or in relationship, or are you married? And if so, how many years? So send me a number. Bridget is saying 15 years together, and 6 years I am married. Brilliant. Thank you very much for your comments. I just want to get a gist, like, where, who is watching and where are you at, guys. Even for those of you who are watching from the replay, still feel free to send us messages. Michael is saying, after quite a long time, me being alone with my daughter, my true love found me. That's beautiful. It's only 2.5 years, and we already have a little son, 1 year, but just now I feel ready, really complete. Thank you so much for sharing, Michaela. It's really beautiful, and I'm very happy for you guys. And this is the thing, like, and maybe this is one of the questions, like, do we feel more complete in relationship, and what actually is what actually makes it to be in good relationship. And this is a question for you guys. It's not like I don't do this streaming because I know everything. This is more of a dialogue between us, and I really would like to hear from you. Like, what do you think makes it a good relationship? When do we feel that we can say, okay, this is it, like this is good relationship, I'm really interested to marry this man again? I've got friends who actually got I think it's called pagan marriage. It's back thousands of years ago, when people got married not for life, but they actually used to remarry each other every year. And I've got friends who actually been doing this for many years, and it is something very beautiful, because often in relationships or marriages we get very complacent. We start taking other person for granted, even in good marriages or relationships, and somehow we stop saying thank you and giving those little appreciations, taking a moment to really nourish that relationship, creating a special quality time with each other. And that's when we are not supporting, when we are not watering like a flower the relationship, it starts fading away. And then we kind of ask ourselves question like, what happened? Where is that person gone that I met at the beginning of the relationship? So back to my friends, I absolutely love the idea that they kept on marrying each other for year after year, and there was always a little, not necessary wedding party in a sense of the proper wedding, white dress and all the hoo-ha, but it was something very nice, like sometimes in a forest, where they reconfirm their values, their vows to each other, always in a very natural, organic way, how they feel it from the bottom of their heart. And before they done so, and before they invited the friends, of course, they always had a conversation about, do we want to still be remarried every year? And I know a couple of years ago they both mutually chose not to marry again, and they are still friends. There is no hard feelings. They made a final kind of a celebration of their time together, and they freely chose not to be remarried again. And I think it was after several years of being genuinely happy together. We can contemplate where is right or whether it's wrong, but I do really like the concept, because I know a lot of couples, a lot of people who are staying together, and they are suffering it through because of the possibly deep inside their heart they know the love is gone, and they are feeling stuck. Sometimes perhaps it is totally about the communication, and just like choosing a different approach, because if we keep on doing what we are doing, we only get the results that we always got. That's kind of a little bit of a rule, not just with relationships but with everything else as well. But sometimes it's genuinely a toxic relationship from which either woman or a man, or sometimes both of them, want to get out, and the pain sometimes is still not big enough to face the discomfort of the decision and consequences coming with it, meaning moving a house, changing a school for children, moving maybe city or a country. I have a couple of clients who successfully done that, and these ladies are very brave, very strong, and they are doing phenomenally well now. But they did make this choice from their core. It wasn't there was a huge learning curve, and there was no resentment, no hatred. They just accepted that it was a time to move on, and they communicated it, and they are in a process of healing, because that's what comes next. Martina is writing, let me read it. She's saying, I realize, Lucy, I have stopped saying thanks and appreciate things to this, so this is big eye opener for me. Thank you, Mati, for saying that, and it's a huge thing to realize. I know that when I appreciate, but like from the bottom of my heart, you know, like my husband to, you know, doing something. We had a situation where our, you know, nephew other day reacted, you know, like he's a young teenage boy, and you know, he reacted certain way, and it caused a little bit of upset for me, you know. And although this is not our child, we love him so dearly, so it upsetted me, you know. And because I really want this little boy to grow up being successful, a great person. And you know, my husband had a little chat with him on side, and you know, my little nephew came up to me, and he can't speak fluent English, so bless him, he, you know, looked up on a Google how to express his feelings and how to say sorry for something that he done to me. And it was so cute. I knew it didn't come from him. You know, it was coming from my husband and his commitment for, you know, things being cleared up, and to him and to me too, you know, like it was a very beautiful gesture, and I really appreciate it to my little nephew, and I really appreciate it. You know, I thought it was a beautiful, loving gesture from my husband as well, as a family man. So, but you know, like I don't think our men, sometimes we wait to appreciate our men when they do something huge, you know, like in romantic movies, buy us like, you know, 50 roses, or even like pave the pepper path for us to get to bed. And you know, maybe sometimes if we start appreciating little things about our man, you know, like washing the dishes, or you know, they will definitely want to do more of that. I think when we kind of complain, and as women sometimes we feel tired because we've got jobs, and then we've got kids, and we've got housework, and sometimes it's not easy to maintain. We'd get tired, we'd get grumpy, and then period, you know, like all the hormones happening, and sometimes we slip into that blaming mode, you know, like you make me feel this way, it's all your fault, you know, and you are not helping, and I'm doing everything myself. This is so common, especially with Western women. And you know, like it really is, you know, I'm not saying it's easy, it's challenging, but maybe it really is about like just about when we are starting like expressing something like that, slipping into that pattern where we make our man to feel not good enough for us. Maybe it's great to just kind of pause and take a responsibility about how we feel for not enough rest that we allowed ourselves to have, or for not asking for help where we maybe should ask for help, or it would be beneficial for us, you know, rather than going into resentment mode of, oh, I'm doing everything, you are doing nothing, because then I don't think a man is going to be too eager to help us anyway. So you know, it really is about communication and being honest. What is in a way of our relationships being successful? I asked earlier, like, what does it mean to, actually let's go back to what does it mean to have a successful relationship. I'm just keep on checking your messages, guys. Just because I'm talking, it doesn't mean that you're being quiet. Please keep on contributing, because this is like both-way conversation. So what do you think is a good relationship? When do you feel in a good relationship? Now, I can share, for me, being in a good relationship, one of the things that I feel that I'm in good relationships is when it feels fairly easy. Now, what do I mean by that? It's like not feeling like constant struggle and hard work. That's a good start. What it feels being in a good relationship also is when in healthy relationships, like there's always ups and downs, like that's completely normal. And it's really important when we have a little downer in our relationship, it is most important to kind of go, okay, it's not about that love is gone, it's about that, you know, being honest with ourselves. Let's sit down and let's really talk about how much time did we actually dedicate to this relationship. Was it all about work or other dramas in our life that actually, you know, stuff happens in life, or did we even, you know, amongst all the things and commitments that we have in life, did we genuinely put enough time and space into relationship? Did we spend a quality, when is the last time we spent a quality time with each other, and what does it mean even? Another thing, what is indication of good relationship, is feeling freedom to be who you are. And I don't mean like, you know I get grumpy sometimes before my period. I feel sore, my boobs are hurting, and I just like want to crawl to bed and not being with anyone, and I learned to kind of communicate that. And often I say to my husband, listen, I just don't feel like going anywhere. I feel bloated, I feel swollen, I feel ugly, I don't want to have a sex, I don't want to talk to anyone, please leave me alone. It's nothing to do with you, it's to do with like my hormones. And he's so great, like without patronizing or without feeling bad, I'm able to communicate this. And he's so great. He doesn't plan any for us to go out. He makes sure that house is like fairly quiet whenever possible, so I can get the rest. I can he even reminds me these days, like, baby, maybe you should go to sleep a little bit earlier because we need more rest when we are in this time of the month. And he's so great. But it is only because I told him. It's only because I very clearly asked for what my needs are, and it took me absolute ages to be able to do it, because first of all, I didn't even know why I'm behaving that way, why I'm drawn to feel like this every month. And it really is about us ladies to discover like what like not being in impact of our emotions and mood swings and all those things, but actually realizing like, oh, okay, so yeah, I'm feeling angry, I don't have to react to it. I can choose, like, just take a deep breath before I like say something horrible to my husband that I regret later on. I always do. And I have a choice right now, but it's really important to be able to pause. Martina is saying freedom is a huge thing in our marriage. My hubby is 9 years older than me, and he always gave me the freedom to go out clubbing in the past and seeing friends. Exactly, that's what I mean. Freedom is to trust our partner enough to kind of let them go, to go and for boys to go and watch the football. Martina, we've been even clubbing together, so I can totally say you are saying, and you also got your own business, and as a businesswoman we need to kind of have a freedom and have a time to nurture our businesses, to grow them. And sometimes it is a sacrifice. Sometimes we really need to kind of plan things and travels and and the other family commitments and all the housework. So it really is no winning formula. It really is all about the commitment that we have to our partners. And one of my commitments is for my husband to be happy, and his commitment is for me to be happy. And if we create and co-create from that space, sometimes it's about the compromise, and it's okay. So yeah, it is about freedom, but it's also about the freedom, I don't know, like finances. That's something that a lot of couples talk about and have a lot of arguments about, for example. And to accept that for my husband, spending money on something that to me might not feel that important, like I don't know why we needed 2 cars, or why he wants to buy the 3rd one in Albania and 4th one for Slovakia. For me it's like, oh my god, all that insurance and stuff and hassle, like, do we really need it? And I can easily go to that space like, we don't need a car, and I'm not allowing you to buy a car because it's waste of money. But like, once I started understanding like actually why he wants the car there, and why it's important for him to maintain the car and make sure that we've got a good car and a safe car. It is for the family. My husband is a very family man, and he wants one of the most important things is the safety for us, for me, for us to be comfortable. And once I realized his commitment is actually this, then I saw the importance of his investment into the cars, right? And for me it's personal development. where he can't see as much value as me, because I've been in this in this world for more than 15 years now, and I must appreciate that he cannot fully appreciate how powerful the stuff that I do or I've done in the past, it really is. Because how do you explain to someone who didn't experience it in their own skin, right? How do you explain to someone? It's experiential, right? So that's why I always encourage people to find out more, and for those of them who are ready, then it's absolute no-brainer. There is no investment in a world that can pay for what you actually get from coaching, from personal development, from work that you do over here on yourself, because we can never change anyone else. And that's the next point. We can never ever change anyone else. If we are getting married and we are getting married with illusion of someone being certain way, what happens, and this often a lot of marriages fail on this, if we get married to the illusion of someone being certain way because that's how we want them to be, perhaps we are not really that's conditional love. I will love you if you do this for me, I will love you if you change. And often disappointment and heartbreak comes because then we try harder, we try to change them, we try to mold them into our version of what the perfection we think we want them to be. There's no perfection at all. And then if they are not acting that way, if they are not moving that direction, then we say, well, what happened to you? Why did you change? Why, who are you now as a person? And we start blaming them for our own unhappiness, but actually they've never been that person in the first place. It was our illusion, our something that we fall in love with, not even realizing or taking responsibility for that choice. So really it's about not leaving our own happiness in the hands of someone else. Like there's a lot of romantic movies that are talking about when you find the one, then you are complete. How about us finding the way how we can be complete ourselves? And what does that actually mean, being complete? Let me have a look at your comments. Luca is saying, we share the values both in terms of personal behavior and how we view our family unit. We look forward to seeing each other each evening and sharing details of your day, enjoying doing so. Luca, this is exactly it, it's very important to share the same values. He can be into football, no problem. Women like to do shopping. I'm not exactly one of them, but we've got a different hobbies, different views, but the most important is compatibility and actually direction where we are going, in general in life, to go the same direction, to have the same vision, the approximately same view, to have the priorities, right? Do we have if my highest value or highest priority is my family and my work, for example, then I need to kind of be aware of it, first of all, myself, that okay, this is what I really care about, and then it's very useful for my husband to know that as well. And if he's a family man and our values interlink, then we've got the really strong bond, because then I can do 150 visits of his 5,000 cousins in Albania, because it's not like I want to be always having coffees with people. Guys, I didn't have so much coffee in my life since I've been here. We are now in my husband's place where he's from, and it's beautiful here, don't take me wrong, and I love people, I love generosity and so on, but sometimes it is like, I was talking to Martina before this streaming, and I was like, Marti, is there only as many visits I can possibly do in 3 weeks, but I do it. Why? Because I know it's important to him. I know it makes him happy. I send him away and I say, baby, go, have a coffee, meet your cousin, have a laugh, and you know, I do yoga or something that is important, and then he comes back home, I'm happy because I'm tranquil in my on my yoga mat on the balcony, and he's like super happy because he done something what is important to him. So that's so much about our relationship. It's interlaced, it's connected, but let's because we have this theme about relationships and sex, so let's now talk about sex. It's funny, more and more of you will be joining us, and this might be slightly spicier subject, and I'm not only talking about it because, oh, you know, big S word, but I'm actually, you know, really passionate to talk about it because it is something that is very, very important in our lives. And if we're kidding ourselves, that is not, then we are truly just kidding ourselves, because I believe sex is as important as food, as important as money, as important as anything else that is primarily what makes us being fulfilled and happy inside. Let me just have a sip of my orange juice and send me comments, guys. In the meantime, I'm going to look through them. And for those of you who are joining us, welcome. So yeah, let's talk about sex. And you know, maybe first thing that to put out there, guys, and I'm going to give you a little bit of you know, space. What does that mean to have a good sex, right? So sex is such an interesting subject. It's almost as, you know, it's equally interesting. Like, people talk about money, people sometimes don't talk enough about sex, or they talk about it only from the certain angle. You know, it's so interesting. So we grow up, and our first experiences pretty much determine our relationship later on in life with sex. So, you know, if and let's face it, whether it's men or women, guys, I can't talk for you. Maybe I can talk for myself only from the perspective of a woman, but I don't know how about you guys. But my first experience wasn't like, wow, I want to do this every day for the rest of my life. It was more like, okay, well, maybe it's time, let's do it. He is trustworthy enough. It was my friend, by the way, and I just kind of like, oh well, you know, let's do it. I was a bit, you know, it was a big party, and then it was more like, was that it? You know, and it was like, literally like, this is it, this is what everybody's talking about, this is that big thing that I was waiting for, saving myself for, is this it? Like, you know, and you know, he just got up and just kind of left, and I was like, you know, I was in bed feeling really, really lonely, actually. You know, I was feeling really a bit embarrassed, a bit scared. You know, there was that thing that, oh my god, what if I'm pregnant now, right? Because I was fed with that a lot because of my family and what happens with my sister. So it was like, oh, Lucia, you'll get pregnant by the age of 16. You know, all this stuff that we've been fed with, you know. And then it's our families, it's you know, how we've been even like calling our sexual organs, right? Like it's like, did we call it like in a patronizing way? Like, you know, like I was actually doing one streaming just about this with women in one group. It's fascinating, actually, like our relationships with our internal organs. Like, how do we relate to them? Is that something that is dirty, that we need to cover up, that we feel ashamed about? Or do we actually embrace it? Do we love it? Do we, you know, love, you know, thinking of it, touching it? Do we actually know what works for us, you know? So Martina is saying same, laughing. Yeah, I mean, it's very you know, it's very interesting subject, and if we get really honest with each other, you know, there's so many variations of it. There are like men and women who absolutely love sex, but they can't get enough, you know, or they don't find the one. Or, you know, there are people I met in my life who are totally addicted to sex, and it's like, it's making them actually really unhappy, because the you know, it's too much. It's like any other addiction, you know, like it's too much of everything, it's too much, and it's attachment to it. Then there are people who, you know, like I know women who completely resigned about sex, and they even decided in a very early age that, you know, sex is not something for them. Actually, I was in that category some time ago when I realized I don't even feel anything, this is pointless, was the point, right? And not many people would even say that about me. And you know, it is really a journey for a woman, and I can speak mostly for women. I think it's a real journey of discovery. It's even like allowing yourself not to be ashamed about being a woman, or talking, like even saying the word sex, or saying the word pussy, or, you know, and saying it without shame, without feeling that is something not natural, not, you know, I definitely, when I have my children, I want to be very open and honest with them. Of course, you know, different age, you speak to them differently, but I really want them to embrace their periods, you know, embrace their, you know, like really being proud about being a woman, feeling beautiful about being a woman, feeling you know, actually feeling. You know, I love when I was doing this streaming last week. I was doing it in my native language, and I mentioned there one thing that, you know, like there was a question like you know, like what about foreplay, right? Like do we women get enough foreplay? There is this thing like, oh, you know, like men just wants to get it done and over with, and in this Western world we are like really time poor, right? So if we want to have sex, and if we finally find you know, time for sex, it's like a squash game, you know. It's like, let's like sweat it out and get it out of the way, release the dragons, and you know, it works maybe for some men, but I dare to say that actually it doesn't even work for many men. They maybe think that it works for them, they release something important, but really, I mean, is it even like enough of a fulfillment for a man? Maybe from physical perspective, but deep inside, who knows? I can talk for women, you know. For women are complete, like I don't know that many women who like would be able to kind of, you know, warm up and be happy with the foreplay and get it done and over within 5 minutes. Certainly not me. You know, I always say to my husband, like, I'm like a flower. It's like, yeah, we even laugh about it now, you know. And you know, it really is about compromise, and it is about, you know, as a women taking responsibility for our own sex life. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not like you just do it yourself and you don't care about your partner. I don't mean that at all. What I mean by it is that I know as women we are often resigned, you know, that those headaches that you go, and we boys tell you that we've got a headache, or, you know, we don't have time when we are too tired, and it's so easy to go into that space. A lot of preconception is out there to say you know, women are, you know, women don't like sex as much, or don't need sex as much as a man. I don't believe that one little bit. If you guys, well, as you can see, most ladies are watching, but, you know, ladies, let me know what you think about that one, because, you know, I personally think that we need the sex and we love sex as much as men. However, we love the sex that is fulfilling and great, you know, the one that makes us feel like a goddesses, that fulfills our needs, that makes us feel alive, beautiful, where we can experience connection with God, spirituality, something that is much, much more than just an orgasm, you know. And you know that, you know, you ask women, like, the more women have a great sex, the more they want it. You know, I know one of my friends who, you know, can make herself orgasm just by doing this for about 5 minutes. Now that is like phenomenal. It's almost scary to think about it, right? But there is such a thing, you know. And so for those people, or even I was thinking like, you know, men need sex more. No, they don't. We love sex. And, you know, about the foreplay, you know, there is a fantastic thing that has been said, like, you know, how much foreplay do we need, right? It's individual with each woman, but what I love is that foreplay starts at the end of woman's last orgasm. And now when you think about that, then the only explanation for this sentence is all up here for us. It's all about us feeling sexy. It's not about men. Yes, it's nice when men say to us we look beautiful and when they look at us a certain way, but did you notice, ladies, that when we feel beautiful, when we feel healthy and vital and vibrant, for example, I'm like on a sunshine at the moment, I've got a beautiful space around me, when I'm in nature, where I give to myself, you know, when I'm like loving with myself, when I'm kind with myself, that's when I'm starting feeling like, you know, I'm feeling good about myself, I'm in my own element. Suddenly I realized that my man is more attracted to me. Suddenly I realized that he really, like, you know, wants me. And it's like not even like I'm trying too hard, you know, I'm just being myself. Martina is saying, agree, kiss, kiss, kiss. It's all about how we feel. And you know, like a lot of times, and I, hand up, you know, I used to do it in the past, guys. I used to, you know, say to my man, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to touch me, you don't know how to blah, 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 blah. And you know, like sometimes we are like, you know, get to that space like, you don't know what you're doing, and we start blaming them and they lose the confidence because all they want is to make us happy. Like really, like if men loves us, all they want is to make us happy. And actually when we moan and complain, it hurts them so much, it makes them feel shit. And then if we do it long enough and you know, and kind of like sometimes they resign, they say, well, what's the point, you know, whatever we do, there is not enough for our women. And maybe it is like in sex to kind of, you know, we expect, and I know like I did it in the past, like we expect our men to know about how to please us, to know exactly like how, when, how hard, how long, you know, to touch us for. And it's, guys, you know, like woman's body is so complex, you know. I am still just learning, still like I'm still feeling like a beginner, like knowing what works for me, what you know, what even like for me, right? How can I expect my man to know that, you know? And for us to be you know, patient and realizing that we all we need is communicate very clearly, and you know, and maybe even like trying together and have a lot of patience and create the time to do it. That's the most important thing, actually create the time and being drawn to that time. And perhaps you know, when we do so, when we pay more attention to that, maybe we will find that our communication is easier. Maybe we will find that you know, the little things that used to bother us about the life, you know, they are not so important anymore, because we somehow feel like this vibration inside. Somehow, you know, if we are satisfied and truly happy, filled with, you know, like, you know, those women, like sometimes people when they had like great sex, they are like completely glowing, and they are like, and you don't know what it is, you know, they might not be rich, they might not be successful in their career, but they are just glowing. And that's what it is, they're content, they're not like irritated by little things. I think a lot of times when we are you know, as women, like irritated is all the hormones, and it's a lack of real fulfillment. What women are craving for is that release, you know, that real connection, that real, like, you know, we are actually it's so powerful. It is so powerful. When I done a tantric experience in Prague with my husband, actually it was a New Year's Eve, and you know, sexual energy is one of the strongest energies for creation. I'm not just talking about babies, but for creation, like in that energy, really, truly anything is possible. Did you know that when you're actually experiencing orgasm, that's the moment? So I'm a yoga teacher, right? I do meditation, and a lot of times in meditation, you know, sometimes you just like sit there and, you know, in peace, but your mind is going crazy, right? Sometimes it's better, especially if you practice more regularly. But the only real time where our head is completely empty, at least for a second, is, I would say, there are a couple, like babies got it, right? They don't have much crack in their head. But other than baby stuff, I think is one time when our child is born. You know, I think you ladies might, and men as well, you know, that moment when that little baby comes out, we've got, you know, there's just this moment. And sometimes it's just a second or 2 seconds of absolute pure unconditional love, you know, of that, this, not even that, of this nothingness, right? Like the whole world, like just completely something happened. And another moment where we experience this nothingness, like no worries, no stress, no dramas, no sorrow, no pain, none of this, just this nothingness, is actually that split second when we have orgasm. And maybe that's what we are so drawn to. Maybe that's what a lot of us are actually seeking for, that kind of release. I mean, sex is a release, not only release in terms of like man release, like physical one, but release of tension, stress. And if it's not happening in a satisfactory, at least satisfactory way, in a regular basis, maybe there is something missing, you know. Then we try to fill it out. Maybe a lot of emotional eating is connected with lack of fulfilling sex life. Maybe a lot of, you know, people who smoke or drink, you know, there is a lack of love in some kind of way, for sure, you know. And maybe it is connected with the deeper fulfillment in terms of our sex life as well. Let me check your messages, guys, and if someone can also let me know, Martinka, if you can maybe send me a time that we have. Oh, actually, I know I've got a time. Oh my god, we are coming to the end, guys. I can't believe it. So let's just spend a couple more minutes together and let me know, guys, what you is there anything that you are getting out from this conversation for yourselves, for your life? Any tips, or is it even making you think for a little moment? Yeah, Martina is saying, I agree, it's all about how we feel. Michael is saying, well, imagine my poor man after being so long alone. Sometimes I feel like man, cause I want sex more often, and he like a woman cause he is tired or has, I can't read anymore. But Michaela, this is such a great realization. I mean, sometimes it's the other way around, exactly. Robert, hi, sis, RJ, so great to see you here. Martina is saying, I love giving instructions. Great. Michaela is saying, Martina, you should write a manual. It's great. And honestly, guys, let's not take it too seriously, because I think sex is here for us to, yes, make a babies predominantly. Like, you know, it really is about evolution, about making this world and this humanity to continue, right? But what if it's like real great opportunity for us to have a fantastic life, to live orgasmic life? What if we can be romantic even without our partners, you know, just feeling over here, like inside, without waiting for the one, without, you know, being brainwashed that certain things need to be certain way? What if we can make it our own experience, and we can satisfy our needs just by getting interested in, you know, how is it possible? Even like open up to possibilities that what if something else, something better is possible in our lives? And if so, then, you know, how I can get supported by having what I really want to have, rather than settling for you know, what is over here right now. And it might be good enough, you know, like it is good enough. There is not like you're gonna die or anything, like it, you know, it's enough. But what if something else is possible for us, and what if the time is now? I want to leave you guys with a quote from David Data. Someone sent me this fantastic video, and I absolutely love, so whether you're woman or man, what he said in one passage of his work. And he says, how do you choose a woman? You choose the one whose heart is the most inviting, and wants nothing less than pure consciousness. How such woman chooses you. You worship the radiance of her heart. So guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Thank you so much for watching, for your comments. Please keep them coming. We are going to be reading them. For many of you who will be sharing with us later on, let's keep talking, keep on bringing the new ideas, keep on contributing to each other. I know our live streaming are bringing people together, not only getting something juicy out. We appreciate every single comment of yours, and thank you so much for your time that you dedicated, even if it was just 2 minutes from your lunch break. We really appreciating you, and because this is why we are doing it. We are doing it for you. Let us also know like what subjects you would like to hear about in the future. We try to fulfill on whatever we feel there is a need. A lot of you are sending us messages, personal messages, so we are putting all that together to be able to be here for you the best way we can. Thank you so much, and yeah, all the best, guys. Let's just keep the love going and keep on coming back to that space of unconditional love where things just happen so much more beautifully.